So you see people making 1000% with options. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how I did just that, just by taking an option trade with a trade that I normally would have taken with futures. So I used to day trade ops a lot. I switched to futures and I started dabbling more with options again, but less with the intention of making huge gains and instead just taking a trade with the setups and price targets that I would normally take with futures, then also adding a few contracts in on the options side. So today I had a pretty outsized return buying the lows on this dip here. Saw a ton of people on Twitter talking about today, but I don't think it was so obvious. I want to show you what I saw, what some of the signals were, and then how the trade went. And hopefully this will give you an idea of how you can take a similar trade. Now, quick disclaimer, you should not hunt for these 1000% wins every single day. I actually started taking contracts off at 300%, 400%, and most of my position was off when I was at 500%. And that's only because I wasn't at my desk. I was actually up and had stepped away, right? This is essentially a lottery position, which is fine. Most of my gains had already hit my profit target on the day trading futures. So again, this video is really to show you why I took that position and how you can take similar positions to help you have an outsized return in your portfolio. But in general, if you're showing up to the markets every single day, guys, don't show up every single day with the intention of finding these hits will come. I've been trading long enough now to know that you're gonna have these random days, these random outsized days that are just really nice, great wins. But if you hunt for them every day, that's how you end up with death by 1,000 cuts. If you're new here, my name is Forrest. I'm a day trader. I invest in stuff, and I think that everybody should too. If you want to join our community and learn how to do this yourself, go ahead, hit the link down below in this video. Our Discord community is called Trade Edge. We have a lot of really good proprietary analysis and kind of a trading style that'll help you become a trader for real using discretionary techniques. We're not a signal group or anything like that. We'll actually teach you how to read the market so you can take these trades for yourself. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, I know we're looking at my desktop, but it's easier for me to record on my laptop. That's where I actually do most of my screen recordings. I do actually do trade on this station, but again, it's easier to record on my laptop. We're gonna jump to the laptop. Let's take a look. And we're recording. So we are looking at ES on today. I actually drew a handy arrow where I'd actually called out what the signal was here, but I wanna start on the 15-minute chart. So I was actually looking at the 15-minute chart during the day. That is the primary time frame that I watch. For a minute, I actually had a nickname 15-minute Forrest. But what's key about the 15-minute chart is that it gives you enough time. There's kind of this built-in time for confirmation. One of the problems that you'll have if you're a new trader trading on the lower time frames is that you will get in too early, and especially in this market, currently September 27th, we've had pretty big consolidation periods. We've had consolidation periods of up to 2 hours. Today was kind of an outlier. You know, we can see we got down here and we actually bounced right within an hour. So on the fourth bar, we actually started to do this upwards move. But in general, we've had these hour consolidation periods. So you need to be patient. If you're not scalping, if you actually want to get trades that are 10, 20, 30, 40 points, especially on ES, if you're trading in Q or other things, you need to be patient. You have plenty of time. While we did have a nice pivot here, you can see that we actually were still within 8 points of this low for the next 45 minutes. So there's still a great entry. Even if you had a terrible entry here, if you got in at 42.87, which is this price right here, I'll mark it on the chart, it still would have been a great entry for this play. By no means do you need a perfect entry, you just need a good entry for these big trades. What a lot of people do, and I'll break this down before we actually jump into the trade, is you wait until the price gets up here, and I'll mark it with orange again, and then you go long. You wait for all of this, you chase, you FOMO, you're scared here when it hits this line, you're scared here when it hits this line, it gets up, you go long, you get smoked. So what we want to do is we want to buy at a good price, which is right around here, which will give us plenty of time, and we want to identify that. So how could we identify that? One, on the 15-minute time frame, so we had this downward trend, which I will just denote with a line. So we have kind of this supportive trend line down here on the bottom side, and a trend line, guys, is nothing more than an observation. Some people, treat, trends and technical analysis as almost like astrology, which is why it gets a bad rep. I think the technical analysis, critical to actually being a good trader. It's exactly how I trade. I use trend line, support, and resistance every single day, but all it is an observation of price. Buying it with volume profile analysis, we can see the volume profile for this session over here on the left, and it can give you a really good idea about how the market or the auction might behave. It's not a 100%, just look at the line and don't look at anything else. Like everything in the market, this line is just one component of many other things. Cool, so let's look at the price as it moves along this line. In particular, the volume. So I want to look at this bar, the 1045 candle right here, right, marked in yellow. I want to look at this candle. At this point in time, we see we have volume, which is higher than the previous volume, but, relatively the same. We come down, volume is dropping down between the day. The next time we touch this trend line, we have volume here, which is a little bit higher. On the 15-minute, we come down and eventually we get to here. So this is what I want to call out in particular, and I'm not doing this. This is not something that you should really necessarily do. I just want to look at the trend of volume, the shape of the volume. Volume usually goes down during the day. This is totally normal. Decreasing at the open, you have a ton of volume. The middle of the day, especially during lunch, you're gonna have low participation. And at the end of the day, people come back into the market. That is normal. You have this U shape, more or less. It's not a perfect U for most days. If you don't believe me, go look at any day. Really what we wanna look at is a significant and meaningful change in volume. When people talk about volume profile analysis or analyzing, volume, there's a few ways you can analyze volume. I can analyze volume on this axis, which we have here with the volume profile, where we can see volume at a price, or we can look at volume at a moment in time. At this moment in time, where I have this nice little arrow, which is conveniently at the bottom, right at the bottom here, we can see that the volume is equal to the previous bar. Not crazy on this time frame. So in terms of actually looking at the volume on this time frame and getting a signal, there wasn't much there. This was a bit of a signal though, because when I was trading this live, we actually saw this volume, the speed of this volume bar came up pretty significantly, which you can't see after the fact. The way these candles actually shape in real time isn't really seen when you're just looking at a historical picture. But let's go to the 5-minute. 5-minute, we can see that the story is not the same. We actually have this volume down here, and TradingView is putting these little arrows above this, but we see that there's an increase in volume right at this moment in time. So at this moment in time, huge spike in volume. And so that gives us a signal that we might have a change in direction. Now here's my other point. A bunch of people on Twitter are gonna try and convince you that they knew that this entire move was gonna happen. And that's just not the case, guys. There's no way that's not the case. At the time, my thesis was not for us to go all the way up, to the open, and have this huge swing. My thesis was basically, hey, we're at the lows. There's an increase in volume here. Let me take some lotto calls. Worst case scenario, I get 50, 100% out of them on a little pop, and we're chilling, okay? So I ladder into calls, and all that means, if you're not familiar with laddering into position, this means I bought contracts at different strikes. So I bought some 42.65s, I bought some 42.85s, and I bought 42.95s. And I was comfortable doing that because I was playing with profits. So I've been trading options last few days, playing with profits. No big deal. Not crazy position sizes, right? All of these are just like 5, 10 contracts for 40 or so cents, okay? We get this huge spike. I was looking for VWAP, which at the time was, let's look where VWAP was. VWAP is my blue line. So VWAP at this moment in time is 43.13. We'll let this play. We'll mark this with that. We'll let this play out. And obviously we know how the rest of the day went. We went through VWAP, came up and continued higher. 43.13 is also conveniently, it's essentially yesterday's POC. Not exactly the same, but pretty close. This was actually a morning target. This 43.13, 14 area was the target for a short in the morning that we took. That was a whole different trade we're not gonna talk about in this video. Really great trade, by the way, but really focusing on this. So in general, this setup, right, this big aggressive move allows you to do what we call a gamma trade. And I talked about this in a previous video, but gamma, for anybody who has forgotten or can't remember, gamma is just the rate of change of delta. And when gamma increases quickly, we have exponential changes in option premiums. So my contracts, these 42.65s that I bought, went from, and I actually have it on Twitter. We can actually go to, let's just see what it was on Twitter. Look at my other Twitter account. All right, we'll go to my page, and I actually never tweet, which is why it's taking me so long to find this. How do I get to just my profile? Okay, here's my tweet. Wow, I'm an old man. So you can see that I bought these at $1.20 and my last sell was at $9.20. These actually went up to over $20. So I got out at 900% more or less. These went up to over, 20x, which is 20,000%, something crazy. So pretty crazy trade overall, but that was that trade, right? Great trade overall, 1,000%. And that's just one of the trades that I took, right? And this is what we call a gamma trade. So basically catching this accelerated move. And the reason it's called a gamma trade is because there is a rapid change in delta. If this was an incremental or a slow grind up, you're not gonna get such a violent change in the premiums. That's just the way that it works. And that's a great trade overall. Once we smoke this higher band here, so once we hit this higher band here, this is a great time to go short. And you can do the same thing. Could have gammaed the other way. I did not take a gamma trade the other way, but the same thing applies, right? We have all this momentum moving at 1,000 miles per hour, which means we're gonna probably come out of it fast, which we did. We see some aggressive selling right here at the end of the day. Personally, Personally, I don't mind exiting positions end of the day, but getting into a position at 3:30 is generally a no-go for me because I'm all about risk management. I'm very, very big on risk management and not trading in the afternoon in general. I try not to trade in the afternoon unless there is a very crystal clear A setup, and certainly not in the dirty 30. Anything in the dirty 30, just the last 30 minutes of the day, is essentially a lottery position. And just like a lottery ticket, you should expect to lose. Your expected return on any money that you spend at the end of the day, guys, in the last 30 minutes or so, should be zero unless you have a legitimate strategy. Now, there are people who have legitimate strategies. You're probably not one of them, right? So if you're going right now, it's like, well, you know, I could. It's like, but I bet you generally don't have a strategy for the last 30 minutes. You don't, right? You're trying to be technically correct, which in trading is the worst type of correct. You want to be consistently correct because that's how you're able to be profitable, not technically correct. In any case, that was the trade. Real quick, simple. Again, kind of to review what we saw there, a change in volume at the lows. We didn't talk about bookmap, but that really was the only signal. Bookmap, the cumulative volume delta, and I'll shoot another video maybe just on overviewing what bookmap is, but was negative 11,000 at the time. So there wasn't a really big change in the book to dictate a reversal there. Nonetheless, we got it. Overall, I would say that this was like a B- setup. It wasn't an A setup, it wasn't crystal clear. Maybe some other people saw a more clear sign of the full retracement. I did not. I just had a gut feeling and an idea that we might get a little recovery bounce. And because I was in the position, I was able to take profits early and then hold some runners into those really big numbers, which is a great way to trade in general, by the way. Once you're already in, you don't have to chase the move. Take some profits at 300%, take some at 500%, take some at 1,000%. That's a really smart way to trade. That's it for this video. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I appreciate each and every one of you that is with me on this journey. Yeah, and if you want to learn how to trade, definitely join Trade Edge. We will get you right. We will show you how to do this for yourself so that you can achieve your financial dreams. In any case, see you in the next one. Peace.